One time for your mind. One time for your mind.
Hey boos, it's your girl Audreyonna Sequale, and I am back for another episode of Strong Friend Check-In. And of course, y'all know I am always joined by a special guest, and this guest is actually extra special because this ain't even her first time on the show, but it's her first time here in person, so it's a little bit more special.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I know, right? We finally made it in person.
Yes.
So you guys, I want to introduce my guests to you. Actually, you know, I love when my guests introduce themselves because I feel like I can't do it justice like y'all do. So please tell everybody watching and listening who you are and what you do, girl.
Okay, you know, I have to first say thank you.
Of course. You know, I love having you here. And this, I can't wait for the conversation. We're going to get to it, y'all.
Okay, so we were just talking about, I did the first episode of the last season.
You did.
Before the world ended, or
yes.
before
I'm going to get the name of the episode so y'all can listen to it.
And what was so interesting about that was we were just like in a completely different space. Like I think we were like all feeling good. We were celebrating ourselves.
And then March came, and everything went to shit.
It like just blew everything out the water. Like we were talking about our goals and like.
And then just the world shut down.
Right, it shut down. It's so crazy. But in that episode, I was saying that I only have one friend. You were like, now you have two in Jacksonville.
Yes.
And so I did that episode. And I came down like I think this or last summer, and I was like, "Girl, I want to see you, but COVID."
Mm-hmm.
But this year, I was like, "Okay, I'm in town.
Yes.
What are you doing?"
Yes.
So we made it to Metro Diner.
We did,
and had a great conversation.
Absolutely.
And I was gonna ask, "Can I be on the podcast again?" But
girl, you know I was gonna ask you first, like duh.
And so when you asked, there was no hesitation. I was like, yes.
Yes. So listen, y'all, if y'all haven't heard, Season 2, Episode 1 is called Let Spirit Move You, featuring my girl, Tamara, also known as Natural Hair Rule. That's on all platforms, right? Yes, on all platforms.
Like minus the S on Twitter and Instagram. So
okay,
Natural Hair Rule. Yeah, but the site is naturalhairrules.com.
Absolutely.
So,
and can you tell them a little bit about your website?
Yes. So I consider myself an OG blogger, natural hair blogger. So I'm one of the pioneers of natural hair blogging. So I started my blog, Natural Hair Rules, in 2008. And we are still going strong at naturalhairrules.com. So I have an audience of somewhere around 700,000.
See, shit.
And
I
I'm
thought
just like
70 was going to be 700. Well, goddamn.
And it's funny because like it's still like, because of course now with everything has changed, and so when I see other people's numbers, I'm like, dang, especially on Instagram. But people will follow me, and they were like, you have like over 20,000 people on Instagram following you, and I'm like, yeah, but that because the people I follow, I'm like, but they're in the millions,
right?
But I do definitely still celebrate that, and I have a really loyal audience that's been with me through like all walks and phases of my life. So I'm very appreciative of that. So aside from that, I'm also a mother. I have two amazing boys. And I guess, I mean, I don't usually say this, but because of the topic, I am newly single. So we're going to get into that, and I'm excited. I'm excited about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So listen, y'all, just to already put you on the edge of your seats, this is another what I call one of my confessions. episodes, I might need to like loop in Usher's Confessions right here. But before we get into what that confession is, of course, you guys, if you're new here, you might not know, but for those of you who have been rocking with me from day one, you know that it's time for Congratulations Are in Order. Yes. So that means, Miss Tamara, you are going to have to tell me something that has brought you joy, something that you want to celebrate. Yes. I mean, you did say you're newly single, so we can take that, but you know, if there's something else, let us know about it.
Well, I've been doing a lot of work with my money mindset. Yes. And I kind of just recently realized that there's something I've been wanting for a very long time. I've wanted to own my own home, but for whatever reason, I had told myself that I couldn't do it. I couldn't afford it. I didn't have the right credit score. You know, all of these things, and so now I'm at a space where I'm looking at everything that I have and realizing you can afford it. Yeah, you do have the credit score. Like right now in my bank account, I have enough for a down payment on a house. And
that's what's up. I'm loving all of like the subtle flexes. I love it. Oh my God, please keep it coming. Keep it coming. I love that for you.
But I made the decision that is going to happen for me this year. And even when I made the decision, that train of thought was still there, and it's recently me asking the objective questions of like, well, what do you need to get there to make that happen? Writing it on paper, visualizing, manifesting, but doing the work.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, and and also not being afraid to speak those things as not, as if they are. Yeah. Because I know a lot of times people are afraid to say what they want, and when it comes to that, I'm very clear. I've gone through so many different transitions, especially like with this pandemic. Nobody can stop me or keep me from what I desire. Like they can't. No one has that type of power over my life.
Oh, so we having church. Oh, okay. I didn't bring the collection plate. I done left the church fans with MLK on the end. I done left everything at the house, but we're having church, y'all. Okay, please continue.
So I put that on Twitter. Like I have enough for a down payment, and at first there was this hesitation of, ooh, girl, maybe you shouldn't put that out there because what if somebody sees it or something? And I'm like, what if they see it? Like, are they loan officers? Are they going somehow? Right. Like, what kind of power do they have over my life? And they don't. So, and with that is like, because, you know, we met on Twitter. I'm like, my people on Twitter support me. And so the next tweet was, congratulations. Like, where you moving at, girl? Like, so I'm like, so I have the support. I literally have everything I need, and that was confirmation for me. So I'm very happy that I shared that. I'm happy to be able to share it now.
Yeah. I love that so much, because one of the things that like I really want to do with this platform is help people understand what certain spiritual principles are, because we talk about manifestation all the time, but I don't know if people really understand what that is or what it means.
I think we as individuals, you and I, are figuring that out now.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. And like even just talking before the show, like we were like how you're talking about your money mindset versus mine, and I was just like, I want for my life to be filled with more ease. We were talking about that over brunch the other day. I want my life to be filled with more ease. So how do I bring more ease into my financial situation? Like, what work do I have to do? What stories do I have to stop telling myself?
What stories do I need to tell myself?
What stories do I need to tell myself so that I don't remain in this mindset of lack? Or feeling like there's not enough, feeling like I can't have, can't do. It is. Yeah. It absolutely is. And I mean, you know, in the last episode that we did together, we talked about religion, and
we did.
that's like a whole different conversation. But you know, I still believe in, you know, God and the universe or whoever, but I just have seen the way I've been provided for.
Oof, God, thank you, Lord.
Yes.
Yes, Lord.
Yes. Like, I have to stop and thank God every day for the ways that I've been provided for.
Oof.
Things work in ways that I can't imagine.
That is so good.
I receive things that I know I ain't supposed to have. Like, you know, it's stuff like that that lets me know I'm on the right track.
Yes, Lord.
And when you're manifesting things, like, people think you're just supposed to say, I want X, and it's supposed to happen.
And it just shows up. Faith
without works is dead. I don't know if y'all read the word. If you don't, that's fine. That's totally okay. But I just want to, I think I said to you at brunch the other day, like, or maybe it was somebody else. I don't know. But I was telling somebody the other day, like, people accidentally practice biblical principles and don't realize it a lot of times. And like, really, manifestation is a biblical principle. Like, it's in there. It's in there for real. Like, it is a law of the universe, but it's also a biblical principle. Like, there's plenty of like Bible verses about it, but I just think that wishing and wanting is not enough, you guys.
It's not.
You have to put forth the work and the effort. Whatever that looks like for whatever you want. So I just definitely want that to be said before y'all start talking about, manifestation is a myth, because it's not. You just have to do your part, and the universe will do its part. So on that, what I will say for me, as far as congratulations, this whole conversation we're about to have is like a huge congratulations for me, but keep it real simple. I want y'all to know that I am fully vaccinated. I'm climbing up for me, because I think the last time I recorded an episode, I was halfway done. So I had my first dose. And I think one before that, I was asking people, you know, who's going to hook me up with the vaccination? Like, who do y'all know who has a vial of manifestation, y'all? Manifestations. Okay, so look, here's what happened, y'all. I'm going to tell y'all how I finessed my vaccine. And I say I finessed it because I did. So what had happened was, if you guys are from Jacksonville, Florida, we have a few sites set up around Jacksonville, and one in particular, which is like on the north side where I live, they had just set up, and they were having a lot of trouble getting like the amount of people they need to get the vaccine. So I was like, all right, bet. And this is something that they had been like talking about in the news every day, and I'm just like, okay, well, if y'all can't meet y'all quota, so what that means is y'all just need bodies. So boom. My mom, who is like, she's of the age of the second wave of people. It was like 65 and up, and then they lowered that, so she was in that wave. So she was like, well, I'm gonna get my shot. And mind you guys, I live at home with my mom, so she was like, I'm gonna get my shot. You can come with me. I'm like, yeah, I'm coming with you, because if I tell them that I'm your caregiver, which I ain't, my mama don't need no help, but if I tell them I'm your caregiver, they're going to give me the shot, because if you got to have it, that means I got to have it, so I'm going to get a vaccine. And that's exactly what I did. I sure did. And they didn't ask me anything. Right. Like, I really felt like it was just like, everybody has to get it eventually, you know, so this is one extra person, like, why not? Y'all are already having trouble, like, meeting your quota. So I was like, I'm gonna slide in here and get the vaccine. And I got my second dose on Monday. So we're out here for the summer, y'all. I'm lit. I'm ready. And if y'all haven't gotten vaccinated yet, please do. As a matter of fact, in the show notes, I'll share some info with you as to where you can get that done here in Jacksonville. So definitely make sure that y'all are taking care of yourselves. If you don't plan on getting it, please wear your mask and please stay inside. Yes, please. If you don't plan on getting it, I don't judge. I would encourage you to do it, but I understand people have their issues. I get that. But just try and stay as safe as possible. I want all of my people to make it. You know, so definitely stay COVID safe, and that's like my PSA brought to you by Strong Friend Check-In. But anyways, you guys, we're gonna move right into this conversation because, oh boy. So listen, y'all, like I said, this is a confession episode. So I have a confession to make right now. I don't think y'all are really ready for this, but y'all gonna have to get ready because this is what life is for me now. As of now, I am a non-monogamous person. So what that means is I no longer desire relationships with one other individual. Am I polyamorous? I don't know. And I say that because I shout her out like every goddamn episode because I do love Alicia so much. Allison Gray of Sex with the Lights On podcast. She's just come through here and changed everybody's life, including mine. And she really opened my eyes to the ways in which monogamy, it's just not for me, you guys. It's not for me. We're going to get into all the reasons and ways why, but what I really want to say is that, yeah, from here on out, me and monogamy no longer vibe. This is my new life, and I'm getting adjusted to it. It's going pretty damn good, I'm not gonna lie, but it's definitely a brand new journey for me, learning and unlearning a lot of the shit that I grew up with, a lot of things that society has placed on me, a lot of things that religion has placed on me. So yeah, it's fun, but it's challenging for sure. And the reason I brought my girl on is because I wanted to show more Black women talking about non-traditional relationships. Because as for you too, you also consider yourself non-monogamous, yes. Right? Okay. Yes. So let's talk a little bit about like you and your relationships and how you ended up here. Let's talk about that. Like how did you end up here? How did you end up here? Now I'll say how I ended up here. Let's do that.
I'm like, should I start all the way from like high school when I first started dating? Like,
shit. I know, right? It's like, where do you start? Because one of the things I'll say is when you reach a conclusion like this, what I was telling Tamara is the writing has been on the wall for me. This isn't new. This isn't because I was exposed to it. This isn't because, like, you know, I have different influences in my life. Like, literally the writing has been on the wall for years. Yeah. And we were talking before the show, and we were just saying how it doesn't matter what it is. If there's something that's no longer serving you in this life, you have to let it go.
Let it go.
As long as I have dated, so like high school, like 16, as long as I have dated, monogamy ain't never worked for me. Never. Not once, not one time. And that's not to say that, oh, just because my relationships didn't work out, like now I gotta do something else. Right. It's not, it's the way in which we practice monogamy, which is the issue. Yeah. It's the way that we do that. Yeah. Before I get into that though, I asked you a question. Yeah. I asked you a question, so I'm gonna let you answer that.
Yeah, you know, and I agree with all of that. I think for me, one, I was in a monogamous relationship for almost 15 years. I was married, and that ended in divorce in 2018. And you know, I don't want anyone to think that I'm traumatized. There's definitely amount of trauma that comes in with it. But I got to a point where I felt like I did everything that I could do with that relationship, and I needed to let it go so that I could save my life. You know, like it was a very unhealthy dynamic, and I felt like I was drowning. Yeah. And I felt like I chose happiness. Like at the end of the day, like I do say that I did not make a decision to end my marriage. I made a decision to be happy, and I couldn't be happy in that relationship. And believe me, I tried because it was almost 15 years. But with that, you know, you start reflecting on, well, how did we get here? Yeah. And in that, I was realizing that, and also in dating post-divorce, like I would find myself almost replicating dynamics that were very similar to my marriage, and that's part of the healing journey.
It is, yeah.
But what I had to tell myself is like, girl, you don't have to stay here. Like, this is not working for you. Like, you don't have to try to make it work. You know, especially, you know, if you know that you don't necessarily want a future with this person, and you're very clear that you ended a marriage so that you could focus on yourself.
Absolutely.
So do that. But I just realized that I found myself in monogamous situations not necessarily because I wanted to be monogamous, but there was kind of like this conditioning of, this is what you
are supposed to do.
You really like somebody, things are going good, so it's like, okay, well, I'm going to commit to you.
And only you.
And part of me is like, that doesn't really make sense, especially coming from a marriage, because it's like, I truly believe until I'm married, I am single.
Yeah.
Because I've done marriage, and so when people are committed, like, this is their girlfriend for a whole decade, and they're like, yes, we're faithful, and, you know, like, they're entangled with this person. I'm just but why? Yeah. Like, but why? Like, you're not married. What is keeping you there? You are, like, especially when the relationship isn't very healthy, and they know that they want to explore something with someone else. It's like you should give people the freedom to do that. But also, I feel at the end of the day, it's not a requirement for you to be monogamous.
Same, yeah.
And what I mean by that is, I don't want you to be monogamous just because you feel like that's what you're supposed to do. I want you to want to commit to me. Yeah. You feel like you really enjoy my company. We have these amazing experiences that you don't want to share with anybody else, whether it's for right now or extended a period of time. Then we can come together as adults and have a conversation about what that's going to look like. I am very big on communication, and a lot of people who do not like fluid relationship dynamics like that, because there are so many unknowns. Yeah. Whereas if you have what's, you know, considered like the norm, there are certain unspoken rules, and with that there come these expectations. Like, in your expectations, your expectations are different from mine, and so there are these rifts. Whereas when you have these fluid dynamics, it's like we communicate about these things. Yeah. Like, well, what does this look like for you? Is it okay? And I love the intimacy of being vulnerable and having and asking simple questions like, well, can I come over? Do you want to come over? Yeah. You know, or if I'm over there, is it okay if I spend the night? Versus just assuming
that's something that you do. Yeah.
You know, we've been dating and we're monogamous, and this has been going on for this amount of time. So if I'm coming over at a certain time, I know I'm staying, but that's not necessarily the case, because we're two individuals. Right. This is your space. This is my space.
I don't know how many men I've had to tell that. I don't know, like, and you know, I think it's just maybe conditioning that people don't say things like that, because I've literally had to tell men, like, hey, if you want me to leave, I can go. Like, it's okay if you politely tell me to leave your space. Like, you deserve to have whatever space you need. So I totally get what you're saying.
Right. And, like, don't assume that you're just gonna be, you know, just monopolizing my time and my space, especially if certain things aren't being done. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like, I'm really big on my space, so I don't necessarily do like sleepovers. You know, I'm also a single mother, so it's like, I work very hard to pay my rent and my bills, you know, by myself. And
come on.
If you're sharing my space like that, I do feel
need
like
to be contributing something.
You're contributing more than just
dick. You can cuss on here, by the way. Okay. Yeah, you can say whatever you want to. Because I felt it, and I was like, oh, she hesitated. Let me let you know. Yeah, more than that.
Yes.
First of all, and I mean, you know this already, but I agree 100% with everything that you just said. And so much of that is really why I found myself on this journey.
Yeah.
Like I told you, the writing has been on the wall for years. It's just almost like somebody put like a blindfold over me. It was society. Society put a blindfold over me so that I couldn't read it. So one of the things, and while you were talking, I was looking on my phone for this because I wanted to find all of the correct information. But
right. One
of the things that really drove home for me, like, hey girl, you in monogamy, it's a no. It's this, and I love taking little quizzes like this because somebody's gonna be like, bitch, it's an internet quiz, but at the same time, stuff really reveals like things to you. So I took this quiz. I don't know, have you ever heard of Shannon Boodram?
I took that quiz, and so I was non-committal.
We're such good friends already. I love this.
So I was gonna mention that too, but yes.
So what we're talking about, you guys, who Shannon Boodram is? She actually goes by Shan Booty on like YouTube, the internets. She is a sex therapist and educator, and maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, she came out with this book called The Game of Desire, which I own, and it's really great. Basically, in the book, she taught like 4 or 5 women how to really date. Like different types of women from different ways of life. She taught them all how to date based on their flaws, their needs, like where they felt like they were fucking up, where they felt like potential partners were fucking up. But one of the things that I really took from the book is attachment styles. So what attachment styles are is the way in which you relate with your partners. So the styles that you can have, I guess, are secure attachment. So that means that, like, with us, you know, like you said, you do your thing, I do mine, we come together, it's cool. Now listen, y'all, I ain't got like all the information for all of these, so you might have to look up some yourself. I'm just reading them off. But there's dismissive avoidant, there's anxious preoccupied, and fearful avoidant. Now the rest of those 3 are where I fall in somewhere. I think I was anxious preoccupied. I think I was.
Throughout my life, I've been every one of them, and I have now. I'm definitely insecure.
And see, I think I was anxious preoccupied, but I'm saying all of this to say, when I get into relationships where I feel like I'm supposed to be monogamous with somebody, it's actually really bad for my mental health because I get really anxious, like dead ass. Like it just, I swear.
I feel it.
And the reason why is because when you're monogamous and when you're trying to be in a relationship with someone, there's already so much pressure on it.
That's so true.
There's already like a shit ton of pressure because I say I remember like this shit wasn't last month. Like this is all brand new to me, right? But I'm just saying, like, you know, you would go on this date with this person, you would really set your hopes up that this would work out. Like, are they gonna call? Are they not? Like, and then if they do call and things start out right, then you start the talking phase, and what does that look like? And then it leads to, oh, what are we? And it's just a lot. It's a whole lot that comes with monogamy, and at the stage that I am in my life, I'm just not really able to do that dynamic anymore.
And that's okay.
It is okay. And I can realize where in the past I have been codependent on people. I have just attached clingy, just it's like when I'm in that monogamy with somebody, when there is one person that I'm focusing all my attention on, I forget about myself, right? And so I know a lot of people are listening to this and saying like, okay, like my mama said, and we'll get to that too in a second. I know some people are probably like, okay, well, you're talking about non-monogamy, so that might mean 2 partners for you. You sound like you don't do well with one. Let me explain. Let me explain. And this is really the reason why, because for me, and I wrote about this on my blog a while ago. It's called AuthenticallyHB.com. You guys know, but the title of it is called In Defense of Situationships. Like I said, the writing has been on the wall. And in that, I said that I do well and I thrive better in what we call situationships, which is essentially a non-monogamous relationship. Where we're doing whatever we do, we date, we have sex if we want to, but at the end of the day, we're friends and we respect each other. It's like whenever I try to take that dynamic from, casual, going with the flow, very easy, everybody is autonomous. Everybody's able to do what it is they want to do on their own time. Like you're saying, we don't monopolize each other's space. We don't monopolize each other's time. Everything is just free. And that's always felt really good to me. And I think I've been hurting a lot of my own feelings. I think I have been putting a lot of men through stuff that they didn't have to go through because I didn't know yet. And, it's that's okay to know what you don't know. It's okay to know what you don't know, guys. Learning and growing is a process. Like I said, I learned this shit about myself approximately 3 weeks ago. I am 29 years old. I started dating when I was 16. And it took me this long to undo what society told me was
to acknowledge that, okay, this isn't working for me, and I don't have to make excuses for it. And I think, for me, I am fully aware of long-term what I want. So ultimately, I do want partnership, and that will be with one person. It will be a monogamous partnership. But at the moment where I am right now, that doesn't necessarily work for me.
That's very understandable.
And that's not necessarily what I want, because I'm looking for a very specific type of partnership. Something that, like, because I've had, like, the opposite of that, I'm very clear on what that looks like. And every interaction experience that I have has moved me closer and closer to that. But I also am very much aware that there's an amount of work and healing that I have to do before I'm ready for it, because like you, like I call it relationship PTSD, where it's like, okay, like I said, that I've cycled through all of the attachment styles where I can't remember specifically what the attachment style is, but I was very much like you, very anxious. And so I would need constant reassurance.
Oh
like,
my God, yes.
Are you with me? Are you with me? Do you like me?
No struggle.
And like, because I'm like I've had the opposite of somebody who just completely almost like ignored me. And so I was working so hard, almost like bending and undoing myself to be what that person needed. And they didn't even know what they needed. And so there's a line in Waiting to Exhale, Bernadette, she's like, I thought if I gave him what he needed, he would eventually give me what I needed. And so I was living that life. But now I'm getting back to myself, and like you, it's like the writing was on the wall. Like when I was in high school, like I was never really that girl to have like a long-term relationship, and that's not necessarily what I wanted. I think my parents got married straight out of high school, so for me it was kind of like ultimately and even in high school I was like, when I was thinking about my future, like post high school, like I was like, okay, I'm going to go to college I'm going to go to the military. I'm going the military, because my dad's retired military, but also pay off these student loans.
Hey, ain't that it?
Right. Pay off these student loans. I'm going to travel. I'm going to own a business. I'm going to also own property. So I was always very, very independent mindset, very, autonomous. And, but because I grew up seeing a very codependent, and my parents, they're still together to this day. So almost 40 years. Yeah. I saw that it's kind of like I just naturally gravitated to that because of the conditioning, but that's not necessarily what I want. So I was with someone where I was given the illusion of autonomy within the marriage. But it turned out to be the same type of codependent dynamic that I saw growing up. And but I thought I had something very different. And so when I was looking or making the decision whether or not I want to stay in that relationship, it was just like, okay, getting back to that, you know what? I flow very well in situationships. Yep. Yeah. You know what? I don't know if I want to do monogamy because I've done it for this long, and I felt like that was part of me feeling boxed in. And it wasn't necessarily because, like, I think sometimes there are small-minded people who think, oh, well, you just want to be a hoe and you just want to fuck a lot of different people.
Oh, and we're gonna get there. We're definitely going to.
And that's not the case. It's just that I want to be I want to cultivate friendships. I love meeting people. I love getting to know people. And even with the people that I have these non-monogamous dynamics with, is not about sex. If I need something, I can call these people and they will show up for me. There is this mutual love and respect of, and there's non-judgment as well. I know about their interactions and their experiences and stuff like that, and they know about mine, and we can laugh and joke about it, and it's much more secure than any monogamous dynamic I've ever had.
Absolutely. To that point, to two of your points, actually, I was out with somebody yesterday. Yes, I was on a date. Yes. So I was out with somebody, and they are non-monogamous too, and I was explaining to them, like, really where I'm coming from, and it just felt so refreshing for somebody, especially like another male, to get it. Right. Like, it just, I don't know, it just felt really good. And like you were saying, like, I'm able to tell that person, I'm seeing somebody else, and not feel bad about that. And them not feeling any kind of way either. It's just like, yeah, of course you are. Right. I am too. Like, and it's just like, it's normal.
Like, being able to be honest about, like, well, this is what's happening in this dynamic, and getting feedback. It is like from a male perspective, like,
I love that so much. It's like one of my favorite parts of this. It's just like, oh, I ain't never got this before, but now I can, because again, like you said, you are building a tribe, you're building a community, which is, okay, I'm going to explain my doing and undoing when it comes to monogamy, right? So my doing, which means how I learned that monogamy was the thing to do. I know we all gonna start with church. Like, one man, one woman, ain't nothing outside that. Like, no extra people, no same sex, no nothing. Like, you just know you married, you're a woman, and, like, especially in the church, like, that is what you're supposed to want, hope, and pray for. I never did. Like, for real, like, I just, like, I think maybe when I was younger, because I was being sold that fantasy, through church, through society, through fucking Disney movies, through literally everything. So I'm not gonna say that I never did. I think that I did more when I was younger. Right. But growing up, and especially in my 20s, I also have another episode. I always have to look up the name of my episode so I can remember, so I can direct y'all to them. But it was actually with my homegirl Netta, and I think it was called hashtag Aunties for Life, and we were talking about being okay with being unattached.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I have definitely reached. I have never been the person who needs a relationship. Right. But I know very well that when I'm in one, it's easy for me to lose myself. And I say that meaning, I still do the things that I enjoy. I still, do my own hobbies and everything. But I was always so consumed as to whether I was being the person my partner needs, trying to overexert myself, sometimes even being a person that I'm not, so that this person will like me, so that this person will want to continue to have me in their life, even if that means not being completely Audreyonna Sequale. And that's not going to work. No. Like, I just feel like in relationships, especially monogamous ones, when you're starting to get to know each other, I will always tell myself 3 months. I was like, give this nigga 3 months, he gonna act up, watch. And the reason I always would say 3 months is because
it happens that way naturally, right?
Because people can only keep up a facade for that long. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can only not be yourself for so long. Yeah. And that's when things will eventually crumble. So my undoing is, okay, when I was in therapy, I would tell my therapist all the time, if I were to get married, I see myself getting divorced. And the first time I said that, she kind of tried to talk me out of it. And I'm like, no. What you don't understand is I'm not saying that from a negative perspective. I'm not saying,
I just don't
I'm
see
not
myself spending the rest of my life with one person.
Yes.
I get that. Yeah.
Forever is a mighty long time.
Well, and you go through so many seasons in your life. I'm 36, and I'm just like, it does not seem realistic to spend, especially with someone who's not willing to allow you to grow. Right. And that's what happens with a lot of marriages. And you need to be able to grow and explore with different relationship dynamics. I'm sorry to say.
No, that's true.
But I love how Will and Jada said that they don't call themselves married anymore. And so they're very careful to say, we are not swingers. That's a very specific lifestyle. But, it is, yeah. But they do not say that, no, we don't have an open marriage. And I do feel like they have an open marriage.
I do too. I mean,
I get it. And I get it. I get it. Like, they understand that marriage is a business transaction. And so they're very clear on what their business is, but they do not possess each other because they're married. And that's what happens a lot of times with monogamous dynamics. It's like,
people try to possess each other,
and I'm like, that has been my experience. I've been told early on, middle school, high school, you're the marrying type, and it's like, but
I'm not laughing at that, but it's just like, here we are now. It's like, how did y'all get that back then?
Right. And it's because, I check off these boxes. I'm pretty, I'm independent, and now that I have children, they're like, oh my God, you're a good mother, and so, and I think it's interesting, but I get it, but men look at that, especially in my age group, they look at that and it's like, yes, I want to marry her, not build a future with her, not partner with her, but marry her, because I do think that there's a reason why they call it the ball and chain. I do think that there's a reason for that, but I will tell you that being clear that I'm non-monogamous has helped with my healing journey. From the standpoint of, there's no scarcity when it comes to relationships, because before it was like I was very much of the mindset that this is the only person. Well, this is the only person that's gonna do X, Y, Z for me. He's and dynamic that you have, every experience that you have is going to be a very unique one because, you know, no one is the same.
Yeah.
And so non-monogamy has shown me that I can have these amazing, like, experiences with multiple people. So I'm very much detached. I'm not afraid that this is gonna be the only man that can, like, fuck me like this, like, you know, that's gonna, you know, cash at me regularly and take me on these type of dates and stuff like that. Like, the universe has been opened up for me to show me that no, there are others.
Yeah. Yes.
There are others. And not only that, but it's like it's given me so much clarity. It's because, you know, when you go through manifesting and stuff like that, you get clearer and clearer. So you can, you know, they say, you know, take the meat, eat the meat, and
spit the bones,
spit out the bones. So it's like, if that particular dynamic didn't work out, but these things about that dynamic did, I can focus on those things and manifest, like, okay, that was good, but I also need this. You know. And so it's really been healing from that standpoint. But I think with scarcity mindset, I had told myself subconsciously that I couldn't have what I wanted because I hadn't experienced it before. And when you start breaking that down, you realize how crazy that is to have that mindset. Like, just because you haven't experienced something does not mean that it's impossible.
Yep. That's something, 3 things that you brought up. So scarcity mindset, for one. That's something that added to my anxiety, like I was talking about. Right. Because for me, like you said, it's like, this is the only person that's going to do this and this and this. And as much pressure as that was on me, imagine how much pressure that was on them. For one person to fulfill all your needs, like, that doesn't even work.
We didn't even talk about that yet.
That does not work. And one of the things, because this is what really made it clear to me, because like I said, talking to Alicia, like, I was like, okay, you're polyamorous, but I know what that means. Like, it's not a word that she used I never heard before. Like, I know exactly what polyamory is.
It looks different for everyone.
It looks different for everyone. And then with her, it was like, this is the first person that I can actually see and touch and, like, ask this question.
Right.
And so when she was talking to me about it, like, she was saying so many of the same things that we're saying here, but she referred back to Tyler Perry's Why Did I Get Married, which I know we all seen, because if you turn on BET, it's probably on right now. But she was talking about, you know, the 80-20 rule and how, you know, you're going to get 80% of what you need in any relationship, but there's this remaining 20 that you may want to go out and see if you can grab, but you might end up losing that 80%. Someone like us who's non-monogamous, we're never risking the 20 when we have our 80 because the 80 is already cool with us getting that 20 because we feel like we deserve our full 100. You know what I mean? Like, we get to have our cake and eat it too. And I don't want to say that to say, because one of the things that you brought up earlier is a lot of people are going to hear this, and I hope that most of my listeners and viewers are open-minded. I believe that y'all are, because I love y'all. But there's going to be somebody who hears this or listens to this and it's like, oh, so you a hoe now, huh? Because what they think is, you know, these types of relationships, you're just having sex with everybody. Right. And that's not necessarily what it has to be, because point 2, going back to what you were saying, kind of like about community building, a lot of these relationships that I'm cultivating, I always start as friends first. Right. If we can't establish a friendship, we don't have nothing here. Right. Like, period. Right. So even if it's a situation to where, like you said, you know, we might be compatible on one end, but maybe not the other. Right. I can still have you in my life. You can be a partner, maybe. You're definitely going to be a friend. Right. But kind of going back to what I was saying about not really spending forever with somebody, one of the things that really challenged me, especially as I'm getting older, is the fact that I don't see myself spending the rest of my life with anybody, and I am not sure if I want kids. And as an adult woman, like, those are two things that society makes you feel like you have to decide on, and you have to decide on it early. And at 29, I'm sorry, I'm just not ready to make either of those decisions right now. But I don't know how I'll feel when I'm 35.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, right now, I don't want a relationship. I'm open for flings. I'm open for friendships. I don't know. I don't want to have kids. At 35, shit, at 30.
Right.
I don't know what my life, I don't know what my life might look like next year. But it's just being able to build a tribe of people, because I was like, okay, if I do decide I want to have kids, right, it's really important to me that I have a stable support system, not just for me, but for my children, because I really am of the belief that it takes a village to raise a child, and I think that our society would fare a lot better if we were more communal in raising children, but that's kind of another topic for another day. But just in my life, since society's not going to do it for me, I'll cultivate it myself. So it's like finding partners or finding people in my life who's going to be able to fit into that dynamic and who's going to want to do that. And I guess is my third thing. Like you said, I didn't know that I could have this. And that sounds crazy. It sounds stupid. It's like, what do you mean you didn't know you can have? How many of y'all listening, watching, want certain things and just don't feel like you're worthy of it? You feel like that's not for you. Polyamory might be some white people shit. So you thought, because shit, I thought till I met some black people, I was like, oh, okay, cool. But it's really about, and that's what this whole conversation really boils down to, is creating your own life. We're both creators, and we create things out of nothing, but I just don't think that people understand that they wield the power to create their own life. Like, nobody, nothing can really tell you what to
decide.
You get to decide. Back to my earlier point about my mom. So a lot of you might be asking, like, okay, you're on this new journey. For those of you who don't know, I am extremely close to my mom. So some of y'all might be thinking, you know, does she know? What does she think? Have you talked to either of your parents about it? And the answer is yes, I have. I talked to my mom because we're the closest. Me and my dad won't be having this conversation. I'ma just be honest. I love my dad. We've had our struggles over the years. We are exponentially better, but I just know that this conversation won't go over well. And because I know that, I don't have to invite that energy into my life right now, so I won't. But with my mom, when I told her initially, and some of y'all probably saw me tweet this, it was hilarious, but initially when I told her, quote unquote, I approached it like in a joking way. So I was like, all right, Mom, I got vaccinated, you know, it's summer, I'm about to hit it hard, I'm finna have 2 boyfriends. And she was like, girl, you don't do well with 1 boyfriend, what you need with 2? My mom's like my homegirl, she was joking, but when I finally sat down and was like, no, Mom, I have to tell you something, like, you're about to see me enter into a new phase of life. I just want you to know that there's a possibility that I will never get married. There's a and she already knew that. Like, we had that conversation before, that I will probably not get married. You may not have any grandchildren. I've told both my parents that, both of them, and they're fine with it. But I was like, there could be space for multiple people in my life. And I was like, at this point, I don't really know what that means for me. I don't know what that looks like, but I just want to make you aware that this is my life now, and this is what's going on. And my mom, because she's just the amazing mother and woman that she is, she's like, okay. Like, the only thing she asked me was, and she meant it from a place of love, like, I know that she did. She was just like, you know, do you plan on going back to therapy? And she asked that because she knows that this is such a big life change. I know she doesn't get it all the way. Like my mom is 60 plus, still look good and everything. But I know she doesn't really get what all of this newfangled quote unquote shit means, but all I needed was her support. And for her to ask me that, because what she meant is, because it's such a new stage in my life,
right.
like, you might need to talk to somebody about this who can do something
well,
for you.
Well, to help you refine and clarify what this is going to look like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like
figuring out your boundaries, your parameters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I absolutely do plan on going to therapy. I'm in between therapists right now because,
oh God, that's the worst.
Girl, and I tell y'all all the time, like, that's what it takes, trial and error with therapy. Like,
it's like dating.
Very
like,
much.
do we click? Do
Very
we have
much.
some of the same views? Like, are you going to be able to support me in this?
Yeah.
Like, and it's interesting because, like, you know, you can't go into a therapist's office and just assume they're going to be non-judgmental.
No,
or,
you can't.
Or objective.
You can't.
Because sometimes, like, I had a therapist and on paper, I thought she was going to be amazing. And she was so cute. She had, you know, nice style, you know, and stuff like that. But one of the red flags for me was she was like, well, you know, dating looks very different than what it looked like before you got married. And my response to her, and we had quite a few sessions, so it's like, it's not like me making this decision wasn't justified, you know. But I was just like, it's got to be better. It's got to be better than this. And so, you know, like, I understand that you think that you're helping me, but this isn't very supportive because I've already made my decision.
So I totally understand where you're coming from, and I tell people all the time that it can be difficult to find a therapist, but once you find that person, I can't even describe how worth it is. So right now I'm just trying to find the person that's right for me. I got lucky the first time I went to therapy because I clicked instantly with my therapist, but the only reason I didn't go back to her with this is because she's a little bit older. And I'm not saying that she wouldn't get or understand where I'm coming from, but I just found somebody online that really like specializes in alternative lifestyles and relationships, and I'm like, ooh, bet. And it was a black woman, so I'm like, ooh, better bet. So yeah, it's just, you know, I do need somebody to help guide me on this path, because there's a lot of other people on it and they just kind of jumped in feet first. I'm like, you know, that's good for you, but Audreyonna Sequale overthinks shit, and so she's gonna need somebody to be like, hey girl, calm down, or, you know, I need a little help.
You're gonna have to be that person for yourself.
I am,
because
I am.
You know, it's dating, so there will be some after hours activity. So you're gonna have to be able to talk yourself down and off the ledge and stuff like that. And you're doing fine. You'll be fine.
I appreciate that, because, you know, it's like, new, but it's fun.
But like, the partners that will come to you will also help. You know. So were you done? Because I wanted to.
Oh no, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. You said a lot. I think I wanted to take this opportunity to just kind of talk a little bit about some of my partners.
Please do.
And like,
because when I say blessed, listen y'all, when I say blessed, this girl, she talks about her partners, and like, this too is something that really stuck out to me, because the way that you talk about your partners, I've never talked about anybody I've been monogamous with like that before.
My God.
Ain't that sad?
I get it. And I do want to clarify, because I do have a cyber stalker.
True.
So when I say partners, these aren't necessarily current partners. The funny thing about my non-monogamous lifestyle is I do find myself, even though we haven't said to each other. We're very clear that we're not monogamous and committed to each other. We usually are still in a monogamous dynamic. So if I'm seeing them exclusively, I don't want to blow his head up, but
I know that's right.
But we do have those conversations because thankfully my partners are very secure. So I'll ask because we still like it's sex, so we do have to be safe and be clear on like I don't want you bringing anything to me and vice versa, and you know making sure that you're taking care of yourself. Whoever your partner or partners are, they're taking care of themselves, and you know so having those conversations and keeping those lines of communication open and stuff like that. But one of the things that you brought up are children, and for me, you know, I'm not really sold on monogamy because I have two beautiful, amazing boys. Yeah. They're 9 and 6. And so for me, I'm 36. I don't foresee me getting into another partnership and starting all over. Yeah. With children. And so we have those conversations up front, especially in my age bracket. I do meet men, and again, I check off boxes. And so they're like, yeah, especially the ones that have never been married before. So like we'll have these clear communications. This is where I am. I may not get married ever again. Yeah. I don't want to have any more kids, you know? And if these things are important to you, then maybe we should not pursue, you know, a relationship of any kind. Right. And for me, I know people say that you can't love people unconditionally, but to my core, regardless of who you are, I want you to be happy. Yeah. And so I'm not going to trap you, you know. If you're very clear on those are your heart's desires, then I want these things for you. Yeah. I'm not going to give them to you. Yeah. And that's fine. That's more than fair. And I need you to understand that you're not going to change my mind. Yeah. It's just not I want you to have these things. I'm not going to be the vessel. Yeah. And so we have those conversations, and with that, of course, we talk about, you know, non-monogamy and what that looks like and what that's going to look like for us. And I am very, very thankful and appreciative because, again, like when I was trying to explain to people what it was that I was looking for relationship-wise, they were like, "Oh, girl, no, that doesn't really exist." And I'm like, no, I do believe that I can have this beautiful dynamic with someone who doesn't necessarily want to lock me down. Like we can experience each other from a day-to-day basis. Yeah. Like one of my partners recently, we were talking and he was saying, he's like, you could wake up tomorrow and decide that you just don't want to do this anymore. And not from, you know, a negative perspective, but just him understanding that I'm completely unattached. And it doesn't mean that I don't care about him. It just means that I have been moved in a different direction. And the same is true for him. But we are very clear that we are experiencing each other and enjoying the ride right now. Yeah. Like we don't have to look at the past. We can fully be present with each other, and I really love it. Like the interaction with him in particular has been very, very healing for me. Because we have these conversations, and he's not like I've asked him like, what are your expectations? I don't expect anything from you. And I'm like,
Okay, how often do you hear that? Yeah.
Well, because I don't expect anything from him either. I just want him to be who he is and for us to be who we are.
Yeah.
And to come together regularly, you know. And he thinks it's so funny because I do ask him, like, you know, is it okay if I spend the night? And he's like, you know, the answer is yes. Like, why do you keep asking me that? Because it might not be.
Right, the answer might not be yes.
It might not be yes. You might have something going on. You might have a date, or, you know, like, I just want you to feel, free.
Yeah.
And he's the exact same way. Like, it's been an interesting year. I've been, you know, I call it kind of like, you know, tying up loose ends.
Yeah.
And there's been a situation, but I can just be very vulnerable with him about it, and he'll joke with me about it, like, you know, your boyfriend over there, and I'm like,
like, you know, maybe.
Well,
but I love that so much. Just damn, like, the freedom of it all.
It's very, like I said, I think the simplest way to describe it is it's been very healing. I have never felt so emotionally secure in any, like, I've had relationships and I've never felt this emotionally secure. And, you know, and this is not a relationship, you know. And we joke about it all the time, and I'm just like, I'm so happy that, like, he gets it. You know, this is probably like his first time doing it, but he's done a lot of work within himself and on himself, where he's feeling very secure. And the same for me, and we can come together as two whole people and continuing to work on our healing and our wholeness together. And it's just a very beautiful thing. And like I said, he definitely is a person who wants to be married and wants to have kids. And so, you know, I feel like I would be doing a disservice to him by locking him down.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like, once you make a commitment to someone, you do feel obligated to see that through, you know.
Yeah.
And I just want everybody to be happy. I just want everybody to be happy and to feel free to be on their journey without any resistance or restrictions, like figuring their stuff out without making them feel like, but what about me? What about me? And making them responsible for anything over here, you know. And I'm like, as I'm talking, I'm like, I don't know if that makes sense to anybody who,
no, that
like,
makes full sense. I love that you said that, because that's one of the things that brought me here too, because like you said, I can't, like, you just can't be everything to everybody.
You can't.
And it's so interesting how inside a relationship, a monogamous relationship, I would feel so much anxiety.
That's the expectation, though.
It is. It's the expectations, but it's just like, you would think that being with one person, you would feel safe and secure, like, this is supposed to be your person. But there's so much pressure put on you to be a good boyfriend, a good girlfriend, a good husband, a good wife. And, like, what does that mean in society? Right. What does that mean to your partner? What does it mean to you? Do all of those things align? Probably not. But the freedom in letting people be, and like you said, letting folks be on their own journey, because it would be a disservice to me to be in a relationship with anybody at this moment. Like you were saying, like, being with your partners is really healing for you. I don't have any partners right now. I'm seeing people, like I said, I don't think I necessarily want a partner like that, but, you know, definitely somebody that we can date and get to know each other, because, in a way, I would like to have partners or people in my life who have kind of lived this lifestyle and know a little bit and are okay with kind of like guiding me along a little bit. But other than that, I have literally no expectations for this.
Right.
I won't say I don't know what I'm getting myself into, but to a degree I don't, because I don't have very many boundaries right now, because everything's so fresh and new.
It's so new. And so you're developing those. And, you know, you're giving yourself the freedom and the space to do that. And that's very courageous. A lot of people don't do that. They let other people set those type of parameters and things for them.
I've done that all my life. We stopped that.
Yeah, you get to a place where you're like, this don't work for me. So, and I think what I want to say too is like, these are friendships and relationships that I've cultivated over time. So you know, I don't necessarily, we don't identify each other as partners, but just for the sake of this conversation, I'll say partner. But the people that I do have in mind, I've had in my life. One particular gentleman has been a good friend of mine since I was like 17. You know,
that's what's up.
And so of course, because I was married to a very insecure person, I had to stop communication with him. But you know, when he was like stalking on Facebook, he was like, "Oh, you know, you about to be single, so you know,
so what's up, man?
What's up?" And there's a gentleman that I met about, it's like a year ago, over a year and a half ago, and we come together. So. And then I have a new situation. It's pretty fresh, but it's definitely, it's been amazing. He's been great.
I know, girl. I know.
Oh my God. I mean, you know, I be subtweeting him and stuff. And he's just so smart. He's just so smart, and sometimes it's.
I just love this so much. I'm beaming ear to ear like I'm you or something. Like, oh my God.
And I'm just like smart in the sense of like, he's so emotionally intelligent.
I love that. Oh, I love that.
And like sometimes it's just so surprising to me and I'm like, I don't know if that says, you know, something bad about me that I'm not really used to being with.
No, that's
but this is part of the journey. But I'm just like, I tell him, like, sometimes because he just knows, like, there's a lot of stuff that I don't necessarily have to say, but we'll still, for clarity's sake, have the conversation. And I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. So.
Oh, gosh. And see, like, that's the thing, too. Like, I want everybody listening to this to know, like, listen, just because monogamy is not my judge anymore, I still love in all forms, all black love. You know what I mean?
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. Like, I love seeing you subtweet that man every time. I just be like, oh my God. I want that to be me one day, you know.
Well, and, you know, I think a lot of it kind of started off with me just imagining, you know, and visualizing, and I made a decision in 2021 because, of course, 2020 was just like a shit show.
A whole wash.
You know, I was going through there was so much work done for me in 2020. I think for everybody.
Yeah.
But getting to a space where I was really clear on what I wanted my relationships to look like. And I was very clear that I wanted relationships. With an S. I wanted relationships. Like, and so I came into this year like I'm dating my soulmate or soulmates. And it's definitely been that type of energy of dating. And, you know, when I met him, it was, you know, at first I wasn't sure because I'm like, you know, because he wanted a Christian, and he wanted, and you know, and he's like, I very much wanted a relationship with you, and I'm like, oh, so about all of that, and so I was like, I was feeling that sense of anxiety because it's just like, I felt like, oh, this could be something, like, you could be my person. And, you know, even though, you know, we're not together, we weren't together then, I was like, oh my God, you're going to break up with me, because that, when, you know, that is when you have that conversation with people, you know, with men, and tell them that you're non-monogamous, is kind of like, they don't really want to fuck with you, like, because they don't understand that. They don't understand that. So I was like, oh, he's going to walk, and we're going to stop hanging out, and we're going to stop dating, and he's going to stop, like, sending me just, like, little surprise cash apps, and it's like, this is going to be over. And I really
manifest somebody who sends me surprise cash
and
apps.
I'm like, but I really like this. But I literally manifested that. Like, I'm like, I really do like this. Yeah. And I want this. And I deserve this. You know?
That's really the part you deserve.
Right. I deserve. And, you know, again, like, we're not at the destination. There's more. There's definitely more. And I've been opening myself up, and I remain open to the more. And I'm very clear that, like, these people that are in my life, that you know, for the sake of this conversation, we'll call partners. They could be the vessels of that more, or God in the universe will send someone else, or someone, you know, plural, else. But like, just completely detached, just knowing that everything works out for the benefit of my good, that I am worthy of pleasure, that I am worthy of these beautiful, healthy dynamics that suit me where I am right now, you know, and just really enjoying it. And sometimes, like, because I'm still healing, sometimes I do have these moments where I feel completely unworthy, like, you know, like, and like, it's like early in the morning, he's like, oh my God, you're so beautiful, and I'm just like, but I still got all this coal in my eyes, and he's like, there you go, thinking you have to do something to be who you are, and I'm just like,
oh my God, I'm finna do like a Mariah Carey wall slide in the shower. Oh my God, I love it so much.
Oh, but these are like, your relationships should mirror your evolution. You know, we
gonna end the podcast right there. Thanks for listening, you guys. We'll be back next week, because I mean, that is a word. That's really a word in itself.
Like, all of your relationships, regardless of, you know, the nature of them, should confirm what you know to be true about yourself, and they will. That your relationships are mirrors of yourself. So even though there are moments where I feel like I'm a total mess, my relationships are a mirror of who I truly am. And so they reaffirm and confirm that I'm worthy, that I deserve, that I can have everything that I want, like, and I really appreciate that, because before I did this healing work, they were reflecting the complete opposite.
I think for me, and I'm about to, like, wrap it up here, but for me, my past relationships, being with my ex, literally being that one person who was abusive, that did reflect me for a time.
Right.
And I think that a lot of people, when they hear that, like, of course it's jarring, like, abuse, and people are probably looking at me saying, like, how could you say that? You don't deserve, and you're right, I don't deserve that. I never deserved that.
No, you never deserve it.
But it was the best that I could do at that time.
Absolutely.
And it's the information that I had about myself, about my self-esteem, about what I wanted, about who I thought I wanted, and what I was going to put with my life. And the relationship definitely did reflect that. But like you're saying, doing all of the healing work, and I never thought that I would arrive at this conclusion, but here we are, and I'm glad to be here. And so like you're saying, with manifesting the partners that you have in your life, that's something that I feel like I want to work on, like, first and foremost, because I want partners that reflect who I am now. Like, I want healed men in my life.
Right.
I want people who are
believe
working
in
on
therapy.
themselves. Right. You gotta believe in therapy. You either been or you're looking for one. You know what I mean? You're secure in yourself. You're secure.
So
in
I don't
whatever,
have to do that for you,
girl. You're secure in whatever dynamic we have. Like, I'm looking, like you said, for friends, like for good people, just good, genuine people in my life. And like you said, I deserve that.
Yes,
I'm
you do.
Gonna have it because
and
it's
you
up to me
you
to
have
create.
it. You have
I
it
do
now.
have it. You're right. I do have it.
You have it now.
Definitely
you
do.
know, because I did have to, again, like the like I said on Twitter, like my love life looks completely different. But I also was very clear, even though I did not have the love or the lovers. I was very clear that I still had the healthy relationships that loved me unconditionally. And then God sent these different vessels. Yeah.
So you guys, gonna wrap it up right there as far as conversation goes. But these are our confessions. And we are two young, black, non-monogamous women. We do exist. I love this conversation so much because I feel like we just, like, dispelled so many myths. Like, I feel like people can genuinely understand where we're coming from.
Yes.
And it's not a situation like, oh, summer's coming, here she is on her whole shit. Like, no, this is a real legitimate journey that we're both on. I love the progress that you made. I love the love that you're experiencing. And of course, I thank you for coming on, but I also thank you, not just here, but of course, you know, we had a little brunch, just affirming the work that I've done and am doing, because it's new, and it really does help to have people along to be like, you're a good girl, like, you're okay, everything's
you're
gonna
doing a great job.
Everything's gonna be fine. It is. Like, I'm so happy to have arrived here. Like, I really am.
Good
it's just it feels so much better. Like, I don't have to keep going through that same cycle. No. 'Cause that's what it's all about. It's just like breaking cycles. That don't serve you. Just break that shit. Don't do it no more. Just, hey, whatever you don't like doing, just don't do that shit no more. Now, that does not excuse work, because, like, bills and stuff. So don't go to your employer tomorrow and quit. I didn't tell you to do that. But if there's anything else, like, for real, if there's anything else in your control, you want to change your life, you have everything within your power to do that. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. So, boom, y'all. I'm going to wrap the conversation there. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. All right, y'all. So, we're back, and you know it is now time for hip-hop healing. So, this week, you know, we ain't really done hip-hop. It's supposed to be called hip-hop healing, but I'm such an R&B person. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I know that y'all probably, maybe y'all wanted to hear some DMX today. And, you know, while we're here, prayers and condolences to DMX and his family. I know that he's really fighting for his life right now. And hopefully by the time this airs, you know, there will be more good news on that part. But I'm sorry if y'all be expecting, like, real rap songs from me every week and I just don't give them to y'all. But anyways, this week we're actually coming from Alicia Keys. And she has a really, really amazing song that I love with Khalid. If y'all aren't familiar with Khalid, please get familiar, because he has some really great music. The first song that I would recommend is On the Way with him, Ty Dolla $ign, and I Bryson Tiller on there. Perfect song. So, anyways, this particular song this week is brought to you by Alicia Keys and Khalid. It's called So Done. And the reason I chose this song is because it is a very beautiful melodic fuck you to everybody. And I love that because this is literally me saying fuck you. This is me saying, you know, fuck you to the ways that I used to do things, the way that I used to go about my love life. This is saying fuck you to anybody who has an opinion on it. This is a fuck you to anybody who's going to end up in my DMs or my inbox asking me personal shit about my relationships. Don't do that. I'm just warning you now. It's not going to be cute. Like, please don't come to me with no bullshit on this episode. That goes for friends. That especially go for family. Like, I'm just drawing the boundary right here. So, as a matter of fact, I'm going to draw the boundary even further. And we're going to close our eyes if we can and recite the following in our mind's eye. Again, this is So Done by Alicia Keys and Khalid. So it goes. 'Cause I'm so done guarding my tongue, holding me back. I'm living the way that I want. 'Cause I'm so done fighting myself, going through hell. I'm living the way that I want. And you guys, that is this week's hip-hop, maybe not so hip-hop healing. But yeah, I love that song, and ever since I heard it, just like the lyrics just definitely hit you right here, like, ooh, yeah, I am so done. But really, I am, and I just love the idea of just being done with so much shit that, like we said, doesn't serve us anymore. Yeah. So like I said, y'all, monogamy wasn't serving me, so I don't do it anymore. You don't have to do it. In the words of one of my favorite Real Housewives of Atlanta, Candy Burrs, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Okay? Yeah, she said that. So seriously, y'all, thank you guys so much for listening always. Thank y'all for being supportive whenever I come out with these random ass confessions about my life and telling all of my business on the podcast. I thank you so much, Tamara, for joining me. I thank you for meeting me in person because, listen, y'all talk about Twitter all the time. She is literally the second person that I've met off Twitter this week. You're
really?
the second. Yep, you're the second one. You're the second one. So Twitter is for friends.
I have amazing friendships that I've developed from Twitter. Like,
absolutely,
no lie. Yeah,
absolutely. I really love that platform because you can connect with people like that, and you can bring them on your podcast.
I like that I can be myself on Twitter. To my, again, for the sake of this conversation, partners.
Right.
They do follow me on Twitter. So, and I'm just like, well, they know, so.
Right, yeah. Yo, one of my date yesterday, like, I was like, he know it's fine. He agreed to this, like, it's okay.
Right,
We'll
it's
make
fine.
It happen.
They like to, like, pick out tweets and be like, well, I know that was about me, so. Yeah, that was.
I can't wait till I get to that stage and start getting little DMs and texts like.
Yeah, that was about you. So okay.
I love that. I love it. So, Tamara, please tell the audience where they can find you once again.
Yes, once again, I am Tamara Floyd. You can find me at naturalhairrules.com. And the Florida humidity got me.
You still look good, girl. Them curls are popping.
Thank you.
Like, natural hair rule, like, it does rule. Like, y'all see it. If you're watching, you see it.
So I do have, like, a freebie ebook. It's Juicy Hair, 7 Ways to Stop Your Hair from Being So Dry. You can find that at the website, naturalhairrules.com. And you can follow me at Natural Hair Rules. I'm tongue-tied. Natural Hair Rules on Facebook, and it's Natural Hair Rule without the S on Twitter and Instagram. Say hey. If you have any questions, feel free. Message me, whatever. Yes. I love having this conversation. I'm sorry. I know we're wrapping up, but I would. I know you said that you had the conversation with your mom, and I think my parents just know that I'm having fun, and they know that I'm having fun, and they know that I'm happy.
And that's all that matters.
Yeah,
and
that is all that matters to them.
I love that,
and I appreciate that. Like, I let my mom FaceTime meet. You know, she's like, well, how is so and so doing? Oh, he's fine too. He said hi.
Okay. I can't wait till I get to that phase. Like, just have both of them on the FaceTime. Like, hey, mom, these are my partners. Yeah, I mean, if somebody act right, it might be somebody she already know. I'm just putting that out there.
Listen.
No, but for real, guys, again, thank you so much for dropping by for the second time.
I've loved this conversation.
Absolutely. I love that we had it twice.
I've wanted to have this conversation about like what my dating life looks like post-divorce. And so thank you for opening up your platform.
Absolutely. And on that too, if anybody is listening or watching who's divorced and, you know, kind of in that space feeling like this is it, this is the end.
Right.
There's life on the other side.
Listen.
And I mean, when I say life, I mean
life.
Okay? And this is your example that, like, it does get better. So please just keep going, undo whatever it is that you need, and get free by any means necessary.
Amen.
As for me, y'all, you know that you can find me, Audreyonna Sequale, on Instagram at Authentically_ASB. You can find the show on Twitter at StrongFriendPod. Definitely make sure that you visit and subscribe to my blog, AuthenticallyASB.com. If you have any questions or if you are looking for a purpose and mindset coach that's going to be able to get you to kind of like where we are and help you change your mind about certain things that's going on in your life, if there is a goal that you're looking to conquer and you feel like you need some help or an accountability partner in doing that, or if you feel like it's just impossible, please make sure that you email me at Audreyonna Sequale Coaching at gmail.com. That will be in the show notes because I know that's a really long email address. But if you're interested in my coaching services, please email me there. As far as everything else, no, y'all still can't follow me personally on Twitter. If you happen to find my page, you know, that's cool. I decide if I accept you or not, but you know, cause like you said, I'm just too busy being my free self over there, and I just need my own space. But other than that, you guys, thank you so much for listening. Of course, you can find this episode and all others on Buzzsprout, Spotify. I would say Apple Podcasts, but I feel like they're acting real funny with my show. So, hey, FYI, guys, if y'all are watching and listening and you tried to access this show on Apple Podcasts and it didn't work for you, please, please, please let me know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. DM if you want text me. If you got my number, you want to text me, I don't care. I just need to know that my things are working correctly. So you guys, please help me out and let me know. But other than that, y'all, thank you so much for watching, for listening. And I'll see y'all again next week. Okay? Bye-bye.
Bye.
One time for your mind. One time for your mind.
Ooh, replacing the Mac. That sounds. Ooh.
It was like the Mac was like 10 years old. It was time. But you don't have all of these though.
See, I'm going to work my way up to a Mac eventually because I just got this. Like.